Russia says it will provide the UN Security Council with evidence allegedly implicating Syrian rebel forces in last month's deadly chemical attack outside Damascus. The Syrian government had already given the same data to UN inspectors working in the country, but the findings were apparently not taken into account when their report was prepared. RT's Maria Finoshina caught up with Russia's deputy foreign minister during his visit to Damascus to discuss these allegations.
Russia's deputy foreign minister has spent 2 days here in Damascus to discuss the country's chemical disarmament plan, according to which Syria has to destroy or remove its chemical weapons by mid-2014, but first to provide a full list of its chemical weapons and stockpiles by the end of this week. That's according to the deal that Moscow and Washington agreed on over the weekend in Geneva, the deal that became a sort of a political and diplomatic alternative to a military response to the use of the chemical weapons here in Syria. All these just days after the UN investigators released their report over the use of chemical weapons here in Syria. They've been working here for some time, and they released a report. But in an exclusive interview to RT, Russia's deputy foreign minister Sergei Ryabkov criticized this report, calling that it was one-sided, politicized and biased, because according to Russia's deputy foreign minister, the report didn't appear to take into consideration all the evidence.
The Syrian authorities have conducted their own sampling and investigation analysis in terms of possible evidence of rebels being responsible for tragic episodes both on August 21st, but beyond that also August 22nd, 3rd and 4th. This material was discreetly handed over to Åke Sellström, the head of UN mission here, mission of experts which came and investigated the Ghouta incident. Sellström was asked to look into it and eventually factor this new evidence into the final report. It never happened, in fact. And this is one of the reasons why we criticize an incomplete contents of this report.
Russia will also carry out its own examination of the evidence provided by the Syrian government, and will also transfer this information to the UN Security Council. Moscow is calling for a further investigation by UN and is calling for the UN team to come back here to Syria to continue its probe in order to determine who was responsible for the atrocities here in the country.
Political analyst Dr. Ibrahim Alusha says Western powers are cherry-picking their data on Syrian chemical weapons, and that persuading them to consider any evidence of rebel culpability is a difficult task.
Naturally, the report was not meant to point fingers at anyone, but the fact that it ignored certain elements in the investigation that are crucial to finding out who is using chemical weapons in Syria is itself highly problematic and highly political. The United States has been acting highly selectively and using double standards in dealing with different cases and different countries. For example, it is for attacking Al-Qaeda in Mali, but it is supporting Al-Qaeda in Syria. So the weight of Russia, the international weight of Russia in the Security Council will lend more credibility to this evidence that would otherwise be ignored by the United States, Britain and France. So the point is not only to have evidence, the point is to be able to have that evidence looked at and studied and taken into consideration.